Hi, we are Team 3 and today we are presenting a business expansion plan for Bacon Force. After the successful launch in Europe and North America, now Bacon Force is looking into a Latin America market, and it is our job to find the best solution for them to help them decide whether it's a good thing or not to enter the Latin America market. And according to our research and analysis that we came up, by 2019, Bacon Force will be able to enter the Latin American market. And in order to do that, we are going to consulting process. First one, discovery. We're gonna collect some data and plan our strategy will be quarter 5 forces and SWOT analysis. And then we have our solution expansion plan. Now we're gonna move to the information about this solution.
Thank you, Jenny. So by just taking a look at our data we have from the Latin American Venture Capital Association, the VC investors have already raised since 2011 $2.3 billion US. So there we can see an attractive market and a huge emerging market for small startups which emerge. For example, Brazil is huge, almost 60%. And the second huge country is Mexico. So this definitely determines a positive trend. Also in terms of employee motivation, when we take a further look at the basic theory by which the employees are being motivated, comparison to North America and Asia, Latin Americans are more motivated by intrinsic motivation, not by extrinsic motivation, so they prefer to get motivated by non-monetary presence or values they get, such as an insurance or a company car, which is actually exactly what Bacon Force is doing. So it looks good. It is definitely a positive trend, so extrinsic motivation. We can go for it in Latin America, and it is a complete entire opportunity for it. So let's just take a further look at some other stuff. So Oscar is going to talk about it. Thank you.
Okay, so as part of our analysis, we come up with the Forces 5 forces, and we began to analyze our suppliers and our suppliers' bargaining power towards Bacon Force. So the main thing is hardware and software technology, which is in this industry very highly competitive, and which increases the number of suppliers and companies which supply it. So in a sense, supplier power is very low. Another thing that is low is the buyer bargaining power, because for example, Mexico and Chile, they're very high ranked on the economic free index, which puts the companies as such as startups in a high rate of appearance into the market, and this will create large groups of potential customers to Bacon Force. Now, for our threat of new entrants, we have a very highly competitive industry mainly because entrance to the market is can be very easy because companies can easily invest on these types of markets. Business with similar software can claim market share and in short periods of time, and overall threat of new entrants is high. Now, threat of substitution, in this case, technology such as Bacon Force depends mostly on business intelligence in management, communications, and data process. And all of these items are very highly limited in technology, so the threat of substitution is low. Now, going to rivalry among existing firms, we have 15Five, Culture, AMP, and Multivocity, which are similar companies to Bacon Force, and they have a presence in all around the world, including Latin America. And these companies help from startups to Fortune 500s. And so another thing we did is the SWOT analysis, and to come up with the strengths of Bacon Force, we realized that Bacon Force has a strong real-time data, which is very important for companies, and it is user-friendly interface. Has a user-friendly interface, which is basically very useful for companies to implement for their employees and easier to use. Now, one of the weaknesses though is that their feedback is required. So it requires a full engagement of the company, and so you have to depend a lot on the employees to relay on Beacon Force. Now, opportunities is that there's many potential customers because, in a sense, companies in Latin America are increasing, especially startups, and with this they wanna increase their growth at exponential rate. And one thing they can do it with is by increasing their intrinsic motivations, which is cheaper for the company and is also better for the employee himself or herself. Now, threats, we have low buying power and strong competition. Now, as part of our solutions team, here's Max.
Thank you. All right, so is the right strategic choice to expand to Latin America for Beacon Force? Yes, it is. So, however, we want to do a smooth expansion to maximize adoption of Beacon Force. So what we thought about is to do a first phase of expansion and focus mainly on expanding to 3 different markets, which are the most growing market in Latin America, which is Brazil, Mexico, and Chile. So how are we going to do that? Well, first of all, we would recommend Beacon Force to stay based here in San Francisco and just build like a talented and expert team to oversee the expansion plan. And then just send them there and build a local presence with a local network, sign first clients, and establish a solid local presence in these 3 different markets. Afterwards, just to create a solid organizational structure in Latin America to assume Beacon Force expansion in that continent, and finally develop and come up with strong and elaborated B2B marketing campaigns to attract bigger and more clients, basically. And so how much that's going to cost to Beacon Force to expand? So we budgeted $325,000 just for 2019 to expand to the 3 different markets. And now Julia is going to take over with the executive summary.
So now we're going to talk about the executive summary. We've seen that in Latin America, $2.3 billion have been raised since 2011. Also, we see a high potential of growth in countries as Brazil, Chile, and Mexico. Also, there are potential partnerships in these countries with big companies, big corporations that can work together with startups. As this startup market is a new one and it's a trend in those countries, we believe that this is a blue ocean for software companies that are willing to help these startups to grow. Thank you.